Hi everyone, it's Miss Miller. Today we are going to be talking about adjectives out of order and how we can use adjectives out of order to improve our sentences. So what is an adjective? An adjective is a word that we use to describe a noun. So we're just kind of bringing it back a little bit. These are some things that you've probably covered before, but we need to just have the foundation of this to understand what it is that we're going to be talking about later on. So an adjective is usually something that comes before the noun that it's describing. So think about some of the adjectives that you've used. Usually you'll have them come before the thing that it is that you're talking about. So just some examples. The words tiny, gentle, twinkling, these are all words that we can use to describe something. So we're just going to take a quick look at this sentence. The stars appeared in the night sky. Kind of a boring sentence if you really think about it. We understand that there are stars in the night sky, but it doesn't really give us much more detail than that. So instead of just leaving that sentence as it is, let's add some adjectives to the sentence to make it more interesting, more vivid. We want to see what it is that we're actually talking about. The tiny and twinkling stars appeared in the night sky. So now you get a more vivid image of the kind of stars that we see. They're not just plain stars, they're tiny and they're twinkling, and we can really see what the image looks like. So again, just by adding a few adjectives, we made the sentence much more interesting. It gives us a much better idea of what kind of stars that we see. So now we're going to mix it up a little bit. So an adjectival phrase, or adjectives out of order, is a group of words that together function like a single adjective. So we use the adjectives out of order to create more of a vivid image of the noun that we're trying to describe. But instead of just creating a really long list of adjectives before the single noun, what we're going to do is we're going to move the adjectives to a different side of the sentence. So here, we can talk about where we're going to put them. So again, an adjective is something that usually comes before a noun. The adjectives out of order should come in the middle or at the end of a sentence. You can still have them in the beginning of the sentence just as long as they are away from the other adjectives, any other adjectives, and the noun that you're talking about. So an example. The sun rose early and warm in the eastern sky. So instead of saying the sun or the early and warm sun rose in the eastern sky, we say the sun rose early and warm in the eastern sky. So you see how we separate the adjectives out of order right here in the middle of the sentence. So here's an example for using it at the end of a sentence. Her eyes stared right through me, cold and unwelcoming. So we still understand how her eyes were, cold and unwelcoming, or how her stare was, cold and unwelcoming. But instead of putting it right in the beginning of the sentence or right before the noun, we move it over here to the end just to give it kind of some isolation so that we understand the adjectives much better. Again, just another example. Diana's prom dress, elegant yet modern, grabbed the attention of everyone in the room. So again, instead of just listing the adjectives right before the dress and making it seem kind of boring, kind of plain, separating the adjectives gives it more attention. End of the sentence. Brooke got the job offer she had been waiting for, excited and nervous. Again, Brooke is excited and nervous about her job offer, But by putting it over here, we isolate those feelings and just get a better image of how it is that Brooke is feeling. Some more examples. So we're going to take a look at the differences between the sentences. Think about how much more detail you get when you add the adjectives out of order. The mountain stood before us. Again, kind of a boring sentence. You don't really get much imagery from that sentence. The stony mountain, lofting and forbidding, stood before us. Now we have a much better idea of what the mountain looks like and how it had appeared as it stood before us. I looked at the water as the dolphins swam past me. So, what kind of water do we have? What kind of dolphins were they? How fast did they swim? There's a lot of questions that we could ask about this sentence just to get a better idea of what it is that actually was happening. I looked at the blue water, clear and sparkling, as the dolphins swam past me. So now we get a much better image of what the water was like. So we focus on the water here, the blue water, clear and sparkling. So you can really see what the water was like and how that impacted how the dolphins swam past, or how we saw the dolphins swim past. So I just want to do a quick check on your learning so far. So I want everyone should be answering these questions in their notebooks. So the first question, what is an adjective? What is an adjective out of order? There's a difference here. Where can adjectives out of order be found in a sentence? Identify the adjectives out of order in these two sentences. So please write out the whole sentence and underline the adjectives out of order. The white swan glided across the water, graceful and calming. The old house, run down and abandoned, surrendered to the fire. So just to give you the answers to the questions. An adjective is a word or words that describe a noun. Adjectives out of order are words that describe a noun but come after the noun instead of before it. Adjectives out of order can be found in the middle or at the end of a sentence. For A, graceful and calming should be underlined. For B, run down and abandoned should be underlined. How can I find adjectives out of order? Anytime you see an adjective out of order, you have to look for the comma placement. So if we have the adjectives out of order in the middle of a sentence, you're going to find it located between two commas. So an example, let's just take a look. The bookcase, tall and full, took over the living room. See, we have a comma here and a comma here. So in between the two commas are our adjectives out of order, tall and full. So we can remove these from the sentence and still have a complete sentence, but putting these in gives the sentence more detail and we can better understand what the bookcase looked like. If the adjectives out of order come at the end of a sentence, you're going to find it still between a comma, but instead of having a second comma at the end, there's going to be a period at the end. So an example, I've never tasted better coffee, comma, rich and satisfying. So see here, this is where if we didn't have the adjectives out of order, the period would go here. But since we're adding extra pieces to the sentence, we put a comma and then we have a period at the end. So now we're just going to do some practice adding adjectives. So for this exercise, you're only going to be adding one adjective before the noun to practice with regular adjectives. Just plain adjectives, not adjectives out of order. You're going to write out the sentence and add in your adjective. So the blank car drove past my house. One adjective in this empty space. My blank parents punished me when I didn't get a good grade on my test. I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw the blank fire. So please remember, just add in one adjective to each of those sentences. So here I just gave you an example of what I would have written. So I put down, the fast car drove past my house. So if you have something like this, fast, red, slow, loud, anything like that, some kind of descriptor of the car is going to work. My angry parents punished me when I didn't get a good grade on my test. So make sure the descriptor also fits the sentence, because the parents punished you, or punished me when I didn't get a good grade. So think of something that'll fit into here. You don't want to just put anything. I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw the huge fire. Hot, burning, something like that. Punctuating adjectives. So here we're just going to keep practicing. You're going to rewrite the sentences and add commas in the right places to show where the adjectives out of order will be. So I give you the whole sentence, but it's up to you to put the commas or the period in the appropriate place. So here's just a quick example. The cheetah, fast and hungry, chased after the gazelle. So there's no commas, so I'm not really sure where I'm supposed to pause or where my adjectives are. So if you see here the red commas, that's where the punctuation should go. The cheetah, fast and hungry, chased after the gazelle. So my commas go here, and I separate my adjectives out of order from the rest of the sentence. So here are your sentences. Juicy and sweet, the orange I had for breakfast was perfect. Alexis was not feeling well today, tired and achy. The train ride, long and boring, was not how I planned on starting my day. So please make sure you put the commas in the appropriate places. So the exercise that you're going to be doing, everything is going in your notebook here, folks. In these sentences, you're going to add adjectives out of order before the noun to practice with regular adjectives. And then you're going to add two adjectives out of order to each sentence. You're going to write out the sentence and add in your adjectives. So we're going to use the sentences, some of the sentences that were done in the previous exercise. So you can use the same adjectives that you filled in. The fast car, blank, drove past my house. Blank, my angry parents punished me when I didn't get a good grade on my test. So again, just the blank spaces is where your adjectives out of order are going to go. I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw the blazing fire, blank. Dust, blank, covered the open window. The beginning of the sentence, blank, the tall trees swayed in the wind. The end of the sentence, bright sunlight filled the yard. So I tell you where each set of adjectives out of order are supposed to go, and then it's up to you to just fill in the right terms or the kind of adjectives that you think fit best. Okay? So this is your homework. This is the last exercise. Please make sure if you have any questions that you are asking. Have a good day, guys.